Okay, so basically what we have here, this is exactly the same files that would have been recorded for the analog ones. Just, the signal was split so that one goes into the computer and the other one was done through the tape machine. So this pure signal I'll play for you just now.
And she said, when you're gone and I don't know where, I gotta get my share. These days you've got nothing to share, boy, that ain't no...
And so the only thing that we basically did here, which would be exactly the same in the analog stages, was using an EQ, which I will just play for you now. Very subtle, nothing too intense, and the reason for that is you can't, to a certain degree, you can't do EQing as accurately using analog gear as you would on a digital plugin or even digital hardware for that matter. So what we'll do here is I'll just play the vocal take again, and you can have a listen to just what the EQ is doing and actually see on here just the subtle differences that I made. Right. So this is without.
And she said, when you're gone and I don't know where, I gotta get my share.
So that's without.
These days you've got nothing to share, boy, that ain't...
Okay, so little subtle differences that we made in the different EQs. This is basically the middle track, and we cut out a lot of that low end, like we did with the analog files, so it doesn't clash, those frequencies, those low ones, so they don't clash with the bass and the guitars and even the kick drum and everything that's going on there. What we did, however, though, is with these other EQ tracks, we did have tiny little bumps, little play arounds, as we did with the analog files, and we just have them panned left, right, these bottom two. So these three kind of make up the vocal takes then. Finally, what we did was something that you can't always do very well in the analog realm, was kind of have a nice signal chain in here, inside a plugin itself. So this one is iZotope Nectar, which I use the effects. Let me just get rid of that. I use an effects bus and saturation and even an onboard compressor and even some reverb on there. And the reason that I'm doing that all in there is to just do all the steps that we did in the analog process using all that outboard gear. We're just using within the one plugin, after the basic EQ and a tiny bit of compression that we did over there. And yeah, and then on the main, the middle track, as with everything, you kind of limit that a bit, play around with the body so that one sits nice in the mix. And the difference would be this. So this is without.
And she said,
and this is with.
when you're gone and I don't know where, I gotta get my share. These days you've got nothing to share, boy, that ain't no
Right, so as you can
fair.
actually see, we did reduce the peaks up to halfway. We didn't want to completely squash it because we still need some room later on. As I said, these will all go to a mix bus with the tape machine and with all the same things that we just covered with the drums. We weren't going to go all out. Myself, I must say, I wasn't going to go all out and do a whole digital process because realistically in an analog environment if you do not have the access to those equipment and all the different equipment and all the expensive stuff, then it wouldn't be fair to do that in the digital version of the songs. So all up, with all the plugins activated, we have the vocal tracks that sound like this.
And she said, when you're gone and I don't know where, I gotta get my share. These days you've got nothing to
And
share,
overall in the
boy, that
mix,
ain't no fair.
Overall in the mix, this is what we have.
And she said, when you're gone and I don't know where, I gotta get my share.
Very, very subtle differences there, but overall, it makes a huge difference, and this is what we did in the analog process with all those analog pieces of equipment. And yeah, so that covers the vocals. The backup vocals, obviously, a lot of effects units and things went in there. So just reverbs and choruses and everything you could find on an analog pedal board, even for guitars, or even through all of those effects outboard units that you can find in a studio. They went through all of those, and we just basically copied what happened